Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Billy Pomerico. I manage the reseller and enterprise side of our business here at Contactology. I'm going to be moderating the webinar today. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Ben Nilet. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
everybody.
Ben is our Director of Marketing here at Contactology, and he's going to be presenting the Mobile Templates webinar for us today. Some of you may be familiar with Ben already. He's responsible for the Contactology newsletters and blog posts. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, I would highly encourage you to do so. It's been recognized as an industry-leading resource on email marketing. Lots of great information and real-life examples. I want to get things kicked off today, and then Ben's going to be walking us through a short presentation on why we've decided to build out our mobile templates feature. We're going to cover what's changed as part of the mobile templates release. We're going to do a live demo for you of the mobile templates feature. And we're going to show you some other changes that we're making to our application to help improve the campaign creation workflow. So please go ahead and use the menu bar to type in your questions as we're presenting. We'll leave time at the end of the presentation today for questions, but if there's a relevant question that you'd like to ask during the presentation, then we'll do our best to address it at that point. So without further ado, go ahead and take it away, Ben.
Billy, thanks a lot. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. There's probably no more timely and relevant conversation we can be having about email marketing right now than taking your email campaigns to your mobile audience. We'll look at some reasons for that at the time, but I really do want to thank you for your interest and certainly thank you for attending today. As Billy mentioned, I'm going to look at the app itself and how the new feature works, but I really want to ground our conversation in what's going on in the market. Here are your hosts for the day. Just so you know, as Billy mentioned, I'm our marketing director. I'm in charge of our own email marketing, as well as spending a lot of my time doing my best to educate, to stay informed and to educate our clients and customers on what's happening in email. Billy is really there to be a customer advocate for our reseller and enterprise partners, and he's also a great resource on the industry. So as I said, I think this is a very relevant and important conversation. This is the big issue now in email, which is the current landscape as it applies to mobile. This is data from Litmus, the provider of email testing and some analytics software. What you're looking at is basically the last 13 months of client market share. If you think of desktop clients like Apple Mail and Outlook, mobile clients like your iPhone's native app, Android, Windows Phone, and I guess still BlackBerry, and then webmail clients such as Gmail.com, Yahoo.com, Outlook.com. Those are the kinds of things we're talking about here. And very simply, what this chart shows is right at the end of last year, mobile opens actually eclipsed 50%. In December, they were 51% of all marketing emails opened. Last month, or excuse me, 2 months ago in January, gosh, how time flies, they were 49%. So we really are looking at consistently now hovering at about half of all emails in a marketing context are being opened, consumed, and read on a mobile device. Now, that's interesting and important to know. Likewise, I don't see any reason to think that trend is going to go anywhere but up. This is some different data. We'll make the source of all this available to you if you're interested in doing a deeper dive. But essentially what we're looking at here is by 2017, there should be about 1.8 billion people who access email on a mobile device. And that's quite a lot of growth. That's quite a lot of consumers who use their mobile phones for that. So we've made the point, I think. Mobile is something people use to access email. What does that mean for us as marketers? I think what it means very simply is that mobile has to be an essential part of your marketing strategy. I've got 3 bullet points here that to me tell a pretty compelling story. Data from Blue Hornet is showing that 70%, and I've seen this from other studies as well, so I think this number is pretty close to the mark. 70% of consumers either ignore or immediately delete a message that doesn't render properly on their mobile device. So if they bring up that phone, they'll read your email and they can't read it, or something didn't load, or there was some situation going on with it, you have zero chance just about of getting your message across. Significantly, given that fact, the next point to me says that marketers generally are not doing enough right now to address mobile, to design emails, to create a good user experience on mobile device, and we're going to look at what makes for a good user experience very shortly here. And then finally, you know, those are two negatives. Oh, very scary if you don't do mobile right. Then you're not going to get your message through. But that third point, let's come at it from the other direction. Adobe has a nice report out that shows that people actually do make purchasing decisions from their mobile device. Increasingly, people use the phone not just to look at your offer, but actually convert and buy, or whatever you're trying to get them to do. And that email outperforms Facebook, it outperforms mobile advertising in terms of being able to influence those decisions. So on these slides, what we've seen is mobile has become a major part of the marketing landscape, and that if you're an email marketer, mobile is not an option anymore. Mobile truly is a platform you have to be prepared to deal with and meet and greet. So I would hazard a guess that most everyone joining us today has a mobile device of some sort. So depending on your particular flavor, you kind of are familiar with the information on this slide. But the major mobile manufacturers have all taken kind of their own approach. Mobile presents what I guess you could call the tiny screen dilemma. You know, compared to the old days when a phone was just a phone, these screens are huge. But compared to your computer, we're still talking about very, very limited real estate. And so the two manufacturers here that totally dominate the marketplace, Apple's iOS devices, iPhones, and Android, have kind of taken different approaches. On the iPhone, the native mail app, the one that I would go ahead and say that just about everybody using an iPhone is accessing their mail this way, essentially zooms out of the message. They're trying to preserve the layout of the email, and to show that we're good sports here, these are actually emails that we use at trade shows here at Contactology when we meet people and have conversations about email. This is a follow-up campaign we'll send. So kind of sort of eating our own dog food here and showing you how we've handled this previously. And you can see on the iPhone that the zooming out certainly keeps my layout intact, but the obvious drawback that I'm mentioning here is that to have any shot of reading this, I'm going to have to zoom in or pinch with my fingers to make it larger. The iPhone has another thing that it does. As it zooms out, it also automatically increases text size in most cases. And while that's not really a factor here, for some email designs and certain styles of coding, that automatic increase can actually, I don't want to say ruin, but certainly change the layout as you've set it up. So there's not only the potential for it being too small, but the iPhone's automatic text scaling can actually wreck your design. So that's not necessarily the best solution here. Now, Android's native app, this is kind of the equivalent on iPhone, basically leaves it up to the gods, so to speak, to figure out. They don't really do much to the email, which means you're going to have to do horizontal scrolling. We've got what we think was a good-looking design here, but no one's ever going to see that on an Android native app because all they're going to get is the upper left corner. Now, this email happens to do a pretty good job, and I wish I could take credit for that, but it's somewhat accidental, that the call to action and the main point of the message is in the upper left corner. As I said, I wish I could say, because we were so smart, we were designing for Android, but we weren't. And the reality is that's probably not ideal, because I'm saying you can start your download here with my call to action, but you can't really see what it is you're downloading. So I wouldn't say that that is doing a great job of getting it done. And I should mention here that on Android, lots and lots of people also use the Gmail app that comes with the device. And the Gmail app is going to give you a little more on Android, the same experience you get on the iPhone. So just a little bit of the how these devices handle email. There is another way to, there's some solutions. So this is what the manufacturers do. Here's, they're going to have their default settings and their default approaches to mobile. As email marketers, we have some options. This is one option. It's not my favorite, but I certainly think it's bold. This is actually an email campaign from my own inbox. So in case you were wondering, yes, I am this nerdy. This is an advertisement from Microsoft for their big game they were releasing very recently. And as you can tell, the message is going to look great on a mobile device. That's even an animated image a little bit. It's got an animated GIF going there. So it looks like the woman is communicating to you directly over the radio. But when you look at what the email looked like in my yahoo.com inbox, basically to guarantee a good mobile experience, Microsoft's marketing folks just decided we're sending a mobile first email. That's a 320 pixel wide message. That's how it's meant to be. That's how it's always going to be. And just for reference, on the right there, you can see the whole email campaign. It's really a nice job for mobile devices. It's very mobile friendly in that there's not a lot of text. The call to action is sort of a big clickable area. We're going to look at those concepts shortly. But so this is a mobile first approach. It's basically saying we care about mobile. Now, is that good for most of us? I would go ahead and say no. I mean, I can speak for our own email marketing here at Contactology. Many of you are probably email subscribers for us, and I know from our data that many of you access our emails on desktop applications like Outlook and Apple Mail. And the reality is we're a business-to-business company, and that's what we can kind of expect. It's not worth it for a company like us, and I would go ahead and assume for many of you to sacrifice the entire desktop landscape, which even according to data is about half, to make sure that you get a good user experience. For Microsoft, that probably makes sense. They're obviously targeting present company accepted, targeting younger people who probably get most of their email on a mobile device. So they must have something in their data that tells them this is a good approach. To me, this is not, we're not yet at this point where you design for mobile and everything else, forget about it. So that's not the ideal solution. What is another solution? We think one that is certainly time to do. We just launched a feature that deals with this approach, that enables you to use this approach. So we certainly, as a company, believe this is a pretty good way to solve the tiny screen dilemma, which is what we call mobile optimized, or you may have heard it as responsive email design. Very simply, I'll take a complicated subject and make it as simple as I can. This is the same email message. There's a little bit of code in the top of it, for those of you who don't know how this works, that detects the screen size of the device it's being read on. And when that screen size is a mobile phone, we go from the desktop layout on the left automatically to the layout on the right. And not only have we gone to one column, but we've also done some other things to make it mobile friendly, make it a great mobile experience. The beauty of this approach is it allows you to send one campaign with the same content, and the campaign itself will sort of determine for you the best, most optimal way for your subscribers to receive and consume that content. I think it's really a good compromise, understanding that it simply is not practical to design separate campaigns for all your mobile devices and your desktop device. So generally speaking, let's just talk about what makes for a good user experience when it comes to mobile. This is not meant to be a design course, and it's not meant to be super in-depth, but I think it's important for you as you consider taking your email marketing mobile to understand the various responsibilities you have to try to get a good user experience for your subscriber. remembering that a bad user experience is probably going to lead to an immediate deletion of your campaign, and your message isn't going anywhere with that person. To me, I think you can break this up into kind of what you might call the reader experience. This is your obligation as a marketer to make sure that on a mobile device your subscriber is able to clearly read and understand what it is you're trying to communicate, that you're getting your point across in a way that's friendly to someone on a mobile device. The second component to that, which is something we don't really think about on desktop but really have to think about and consider for a mobile device, is how do you make that touch screen, small screen experience engaging, or put it another way, easy for your subscriber to interact with. There's another way to say this: how do you send an email on a mobile device that someone's actually going to want to touch and click and interact with, and hopefully convert and buy and do whatever that is. So, we're not just talking about what makes for a pretty email, but really think about the mobile experience that a person is having when they're using their device. And this can really include what are they likely to be doing when they're reading your email. If you know that someone's going to be reading your email on Outlook.com, you can make a pretty good guess that they're sitting at their computer, depending on the time of day, might be having their first cup of coffee in the morning, or if they're like the folks who work here at Contactology, their fifth. Whatever that is. On a mobile device, however, it's right there in the name of the device. It's mobile. People are on the go. And I grabbed this picture because to me this represents the way that none of us ever want to have to use our phones. This person is standing on the street, so I'm assuming that they've got a bag or a purse over their shoulder, probably have something else to carry, and to read this message or interact with this phone in this fashion, they're holding it with one hand. Now they've got the other hand. They need to use two fingers to zoom in. How long before that becomes a pretty frustrating experience for this person? Now I don't know what this person's reading, maybe not an email, but I think the point here is that generally if you send a message that requires someone to now take two hands to read it, you're probably putting a hurdle between you and your subscriber and your message. You've put a barrier in place, and we've all been somewhat conditioned to say, well, I want my message to be above the fold. I don't want them to have to scroll. But the reality is we all know how to use a mobile phone, and we all scroll. And we do it with our thumb usually. If you can hold the phone in one hand and run your thumb up the screen to scroll, that doesn't feel like a bad experience. That's how people use phones. It's what they're used to. It's what they're accustomed to. It's not a huge deal. And I've just got a little parenthetical on that. Don't get crazy. Don't send a literal mile's worth of content for someone to consume unless you've got some pretty interesting content, in which case let us know. We'd be looking to bring you on board. Again, to me, when someone gets a message and they automatically have to now manipulate the screen just to read it, you've not created a good design experience for that person, a mobile experience for that person. Similarly, we talk about creating an engaging mobile experience. In other words, how do we get them to click on our message? We saw earlier on that people actually do decide to purchase from a mobile device. Here's a little campaign I whipped up for our fictional comic book company, Comixology. We always use these folks as a straw man for our various demos and stuff. And I went a little overboard here with links in this campaign, loaded it up. We're trying to sell subscriptions and really put a lot of links in it, which on desktop I'm sure is fine. But I've sort of highlighted the issue. I call it the fat finger effect, maybe because I'm looking at my own hands and sort of know my own tendency to miss when I have two links right together in a paragraph like that. I can guarantee you I'm going to get the wrong one at least once. And of course, you've used a phone before. You know when you hit the wrong link, it immediately closes your email application, launches your web browser. You know you hit the wrong one, and you're like, no, stop, that's not what I want. It's frustrating, and it's really not the thing you want. The mindset, it's not your fault that your subscriber clicked on the wrong link, but guess who they're going to blame? Probably you, because they love their phones. So, you know, possibly a better solution, I've sort of compared here on the left with an alternative solution on the right. It's really the same message, but I took all these inline, in-paragraph links out and replaced them with a nice clickable button. Again, remember that people are using their fingers on a phone. To me, that button on a mobile device really gives them a big target, lots of real estate for them to hit, pretty hard to miss and click the wrong thing, since I haven't given them a lot of options. So really, in this example, the sort of exaggerated point I'm trying to make is you have to consider the context of the mobile phone. You are trying to drive conversions on mobile. And doing so really does require giving them a nice big target to touch with their fingers. So to that end, we have taken a lot of this theory, and really our design team, our developers, our product people really did a great job, I think, putting together, synthesizing a lot of this into a feature that we think makes it easy for you to go mobile. If you haven't had a chance to play around with our mobile templates yet, they are live in every Contactology account now. We've put in there 10 mobile optimized templates. Those are responsive templates, as we've kind of looked at previously. We're going to look at the feature in a second. We haven't taken any templates away. Our classic templates, I think there's 15 of those. Those are still there. Anything you've saved as a custom template is still there, so this is just adding stuff for you. We've got, so that you don't need to be a code wizard, we've got an interface for specifying your specific to mobile styles as well as your desktop styles. Very exciting. You've got an image of that here, is a mobile preview. You get this preview of an iPhone and an Android for every campaign, whether it's a mobile optimized template or not. And we've done some other, as Billy alluded to earlier, we have some other UI changes we've made that are really meant to kind of complement this. Inbox analysis has moved, we'll see that, and we've made what I think are some really smart decisions on how to handle the message quality score, which is so important for a lot of us to know how we're doing as we create our campaign. And I don't want to belabor this. We always get this question. I should have said this earlier. We're going to make these slides available, and we're recording today's session. We're going to make the recording available, so I won't linger too long on this slide, but I do want to give you a sense of what we've done for our mobile templates. We have set defaults for all of our mobile optimized templates that are designed to really make it easy. If you don't want to spend a lot of time contemplating, oh, is this a good mobile experience? We spent some time on that when we set these templates up. And by default, we're going to take all of our multi-column templates, and for mobile, convert them to a single column. Text is going to be a little bit larger, as it's both headline, subhead, and body text. It's all going to be a little bigger for that mobile experience. For mobile, you can adjust the in-paragraph links, which I think speaks to that fat finger problem we were talking about before. There's a new feature we'll take a look at when we jump into the demo in just a second, and that's what we're calling the action link. This is a special link that for mobile becomes has some button styles applied to it. We've seen the button effect in one of our examples. So let's jump into a demo. And right up top, we went ahead and put our mobile optimized templates right front and center. If by now I haven't made the point that we think mobile is important, then I'm not doing my job. And as a consequence of that, we really wanted to make these easy to find and easy to use. It's why we took all of our existing classic templates and created a mobile version. Even our one column template can benefit from some of the mobile changes. So I'm just going to grab one here at random. So far, nothing looks that different. And once I choose it, you can see in the interface here that we haven't changed too much, except for this handy little drop down here. This will only appear if you're using a template with this responsive code under the hood, or optimized templates, or if you'd like to do a custom template, this will also appear if you put in the right style declarations. When I switch to mobile, I'm now looking at the mobile version of this template. These styles here on the right apply only to the mobile version. Now, it's kind of an important concept that what will change are the styles between mobile and desktop, but the text and content you add will be consistent for either style. So the idea here is that we're creating one campaign. And you see that's the same headline I just typed, also on desktop as well as mobile. The way this works is something called fluid layout. It simply means, when you have columns side by side, they will just stack kind of logically on top of each other. You can see on desktop I have column header 1 and 2. Just to kind of make an exaggerated point, I've copied that. And now I'm going to have 3 and 4. And when we go to mobile, you'll see that they're going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 on top of each other. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it will essentially follow that pattern, particularly for a 3-column layout. You'll get the same effect when you go fluid. So it's very predictable what's going to happen. As you copy and add blocks, it'll kind of just make logical sense to you. Get rid of that extra block so we don't have too much clutter. Now, I mentioned our action link, which is these read more, which elements here. Each block has one. You don't have to keep them for each block. They're quite simple to get rid of if you don't want one. In our view, these are really meant to be kind of the important actions within your campaign. These are the reason you're sending this email. So you may decide you don't need one for every article in your newsletter. You may conversely decide that if you're using an email to try to sell a particular item or product, these are perfect for every element. But if you want to get rid of one, you just click it and select delete here, and it'll go away. Again, it's a pretty simple interface. I can change this text to whatever I want. I can say buy now or whatever that is, and add a link here, and when I update, there it is. From the desktop styles, here's how I would control the alignment of the action link. I can center it, left justify it, right justify it, and I'll do that. I can control the text size as well. What makes the action link special, however, is when we go to mobile, I am going to be able to add these button styles. Here's the text size for the action link. I'll make that bigger. I can change the text color. I can choose to have a button style or not. If you don't want one, just change the background to white. If you want to keep the button, you can adjust how round the corners are, kind of, edit the buttonness of it. I'm not sure that's a term, but we'll go with it. And as I said, I increased the size of that text, so when I made it bigger, you can see that it got a little bigger. Go ahead and exaggerate that for effect. Now it's much larger, and you see that when I go back to my desktop view, it has not changed. So again, we're editing styles that only apply to the mobile version of this campaign. Really handy way for you to control that user experience. Our other kind of cool feature here is given the propensity for links to kind of be harder to click on mobile, we have made it easy for you to increase the link size on mobile versions of your campaign. Again, I'm doing an exaggerated version here, but now see on the mobile version, my inline links are going to be larger, hopefully more clickable. By default, they're the same size as text. And you can see that on desktop, they haven't changed. This is strictly a mobile style that we're doing. Our other styles you can see here, we've got our headlines, our subtitles, you can change text size. Down here you control the size of the text in the footer. So this is all customizable using the same interface that you're probably used to by now for the desktop version. Another cool feature we've added here is we've made a change to the message quality score. You can see where my mouse is hovering. Previously, this was only available on the preview page. You had to basically finish editing your content and then go to what used to be called the proofing page, and you would get your message quality score. This is the score that tells you, well, you've got a no subject header, and you would get deductions and things like that. We sort of recognize now that there are lots of stages throughout creating your campaign that you really want to have access to this information, so we've made it persistent. Another cool thing about it is when you sort of open this drop-down menu, we've made it easier to correct some of the issues. So the one we've all gotten um, is that maybe we forgot to create a text-only version. Well, I don't have a text-only version here. And if I click this link here within the message quality score, I'm going to be taken right to the page where I can fix that. So, and you can see the score just updated. Now I've got a perfect score of 100. Good for me. So that MQS will appear. I'm just jump to the details tab. You can see that it's still there. It'll kind of be with you as you create your email. Now, the other big change that I think is really exciting and really useful for everyone is we've changed the preview tab. We renamed it from the proofing to the preview tab because I think we're all aware that we're proofing as we go. This is really about getting a preview of what your email is going to look like. We've got the same 6 previews for desktop email clients that we've always had here available to you, but now you've got a mobile preview page. This is giving you iPhone and Android. These are pretty accurate approximations of what you'll see on the iPhone's native app, and for Android, what you'll see on the Gmail app, which comes installed on those devices. Our research tells us that's probably what most people on an Android are using, and so we wanted to give you that sort of accurate representation of what your users are going to see. And you can see that the mobile version of this campaign is appearing in this preview. Interesting to note, for this Gmail app, these button styles do not render. That is something that just Gmail can be, in a word, persnickety, I suppose, and there's just not a lot we can do to make that happen. What is really important to remember about our mobile templates is when there's a, quote, failure, if and when mobile doesn't work, it doesn't mean your message won't display. It'll just mean that the user is going to see the desktop version of your campaign. So in terms of what are you risking by going to mobile, we're giving you the preview here. You're going to have a good idea what you're going to see, and if something should go wrong, they're only going to see the desktop version on their mobile device. So really you haven't lost anything on any devices. But we've done some testing. We've done a lot of testing, as a matter of fact, and these campaigns will render just as you see on these devices. There's a couple of devices, BlackBerry, for example, just doesn't know what to do with it. That's not that's BlackBerry's problem. They don't know how to handle any responsive design. So we figured rather than wait for them to get their act together, we'd go ahead and launch this and let everybody start using it now. I am sort of winding down. I've really got just one more point to make, and really we just want to let you ask whatever questions you might have. I do want to mention that when you are working with mobile templates, it is worth your while to put a little thought into which template you want to start with. And the reason I say that is there's some peculiarities about how this fluid design works that's going to make you want to, whenever possible, use the placeholder images to insert your images. It's the best way to guarantee that you're going to get the result you want. This is an example from my own email marketing. The goal is to create this message in the middle, which is an old message we sent out at the end of last year. I want it to look the way it looks in the middle, and I want it to look the way it looks on mobile. The best way to get it there with a mobile template is to actually take this 1 to 2 column template. I've deleted all of the blocks in red to produce this result, and once I finish with the styles and things like that, it works like a dream. I make this point because previously I probably would have just used a 1 column template to create this email, and I think you're going to get some unpredictable results when you do that. So really, we've got an article about this in our knowledge base, and we've got a couple of articles that kind of go over some of this, and when this webinar is over and we send the follow-up, we'll be sure to include links to those resources so you have them. I'm done talking in terms of my presentation, but we would love to take your questions. If you haven't asked them already, please, please, please send them in, and we've got some time. I'd love to hear from you, and Billy and I will do our best to answer your questions.
Great, thanks, Ben. As everyone knows, we've had this feature live for a little while now, and we've had a ton of positive feedback very overall positive response from our clients as to the availability of these mobile templates. The new mobile preview is very popular, as well as the changes that we've made to the MQS score. So very positive things so far. And with that said, I want to move into the questions portion of the presentation today. So again, as Ben said, go ahead and type any questions that you have into the GoToWebinar questions box. I've got one here that I'll start with. The question is, do I have to use a Contactology mobile template, or can we use our own mobile/responsive templates?
That's an excellent question. It is. You can use, certainly there's a couple of ways to get there. We've got now, when you go to the page where you can edit templates, you can see our mobile optimized as well as our classic templates are here. For many of you, the fastest way to get going would be to create an email campaign, kind of as we saw here. Actually, I'll pull one up that's had some work done on it to make a point. You go to an email campaign here. I've spent some time customizing styles, adding content. It'd be pretty easy from here to save this as a custom template, and that'll be stored in my templates library. So that's one way you could do it. But if you want to really get into it and bring your own code to the table, start from scratch, you have two options. You can just use our copy and paste content mode, where you just drop your HTML in. You don't have to worry about template language or anything like that. If you're creating on some external software like Dreamweaver or something like that, you could use this to drop your code in. Or you can add custom elements to a mobile optimized template here, and add a different block or hard code a different color, or get custom with it. Or you can fairly easily do your own custom templates and using the Contactology language. So you've got plenty of options. It's a short version of a long answer.
Thanks, Ben. Actually, Ben touched on this in his response to that previous question, but we have another question. Can I create a mobile version of my email with the copy and paste HTML function? And Ben just mentioned that you absolutely can. You just need to make sure that whatever HTML you're pasting in does contain the proper responsive code to make the message responsive.
And I'll add to that, there are some particulars to be compatible with our template editor. We've got a nice article in the knowledge base that really lays out the particular code that you need to have. It's not as simple as just dropping a media query. It essentially is. There's just a little bit of extra syntax to get our template controller to read it. So I'll be sure to send that link out in a follow-up email to this presentation.
Great, and Ben also pointed out that they access the HTML for the templates that we've created and added to the accounts under the settings template menu. You can go in there and grab the HTML that we're providing you that's already mobile optimized, and then you can use that as a starting point to customize your own mobile optimized templates. So it could save you some time and expense in having your own templates created from scratch by just using ours as a starting point. So just a suggestion for everybody. Next question. We've got a question about the buttons that we showed you, the action links in our mobile optimized templates. The question is there something in the code that tells the button effect to occur when being viewed on a mobile device and to retain an underlying link in the desktop view?
The short answer to that is absolutely yes, there is something in the code that's doing that. You can see I'm looking at the preview here on mobile, switch to desktop, and you can see that I'm getting this underline. Now I could control the text decoration as the actual CSS that applies to that. You'd have to go into the HTML and kind of hard code that text decoration. Be aware that most smartphones, even if you tell it not to underline a link, most smartphones will automatically do that. I know the iPhone does that. It's why sometimes you'll put a date in an email and your iPhone wants to hot link it for you. So there's some of that at play. But if you, there's two ways to either turn that on or turn that off. The easiest way is here. If I don't want the button style from this simple editor, I can just change the color of the button to white. And once I've done that, it disappears and it's not there. And you say, well, the link is gone, but that's because the link text is also white. So if I change that to black, then you'll be able to see our links again. So you can control that, and if you want to hard code that, if you're doing your own custom template, there are specific CSS declarations in the template you can access to change that.
So our next question is, our e-newsletter has banner ads throughout. Can we place the ads where we want in a mobile template, or do they fall to the bottom of the scroll as we've seen in other responsive designs?
Where they end up is really going to depend on where they're placed in the mobile template. That's kind of a non-answer, but what I mean by that is we looked earlier at how things will flow in this fluid design practice. It's very predictable. This column 3 is going to be the third item at the bottom of this message. So if you don't want them to appear that way, you have a couple of options. You can sort of put an ad, for example. You could take this template if you wanted to and make this column an ad, and you could control where that appears. That ad would appear right under this lead article, for example. So really, it's kind of the design you want to bring to the table. The fluid nature of these columns is sort of set. We're not setting that in stone. It's just how the HTML is going to work. So there's nothing in here that says your ad is automatically going to appear at the bottom, unless you sort of, in this template, if you put the ad here in column 3, it is going to appear at the bottom. But if you find another place to put it, maybe do some customization, it'll go exactly where you want it to.
Okay, we've got another question here. Do you have any sample documents with images to get an idea of what the possibilities are with these templates?
That's a good question. I don't know that we do right now have samples. This is a fairly new feature, so we haven't really built out various examples of content. I've done one here for our sample comic book store. This is in no way representative of all the possibilities, but this is sort of the premise here is the store is trying to sell some graphic novels online. So they've got a nice spread of various books. My personal favorite here is Hulk versus Santa. I really must track this comic book down. It's got to be great. And you can imagine on a mobile device what a nightmare this layout would be to read the text and to click on the links and engage with it. So predictably, the mobile version is a long scroll. Our call to action is a buy now button, and the user is going to be able to go all the way down and get a hold of that Hulk versus Santa comic. Now, that doesn't answer your question in terms of all the possibilities, but our philosophy with these templates is to give you the building block to let you copy, remove elements, kind of create what you want. I would say that over time we will start to tap the creative potential. Part of what I'm doing as marketing director is keeping an eye on what our users are sending, looking for some creative and innovative things, and as we find those, we'll be sure to make them available. I would love to sort of develop a community. We're all in this together, unless we compete against each other, but I think generally our customers are all over in terms of what they do and who their customers are. So I would love to continue to develop a community where we can help each other and share ideas. So as time goes on, hopefully I can build out that library for us.
Great, thanks, Ben. We've got another question here. How do I know if I'm getting better performance with mobile templates versus the templates that were not designed to be mobile friendly?
That's a great question, and it's the sort of crux of all of this. That's why we started this presentation with looking at the ubiquitous nature of mobile, as well as the importance of reaching people on mobile. We wouldn't have put the time and effort into this if we didn't firmly believe that you're going to get better results with it. And there's a couple of ways to get at that. I would say the most important data point you can start with is taking a look at your email clients report. That's on your campaign report. It's the little pie charts that show you what people are using to open your devices. We recently added a clicks component, so in addition to open, you can see where your clicks are coming from. I would start paying attention to that, using your previous campaigns before you went mobile as a baseline are you seeing different results? And remember, you sort of have to collect data over time to know that you're getting statistically significant results. I would love to hear from folks who do this, but I think another thing that's worth your effort is to take your list, send half a non-mobile optimized version, send the other half a mobile optimized version. Do that a couple of times, and I honestly suspect you're going to see a nice lift from the mobile side. So test. We're all different. We all have different lists and different audiences that we speak to. But first step is start using these, and the second step is to really pay attention, dive into those reports in the email client report, and see what you're seeing.